Not all cultures are the same. New Ross is a quiet, sleepy town in Wexford County here in Ireland. At 11:45 p.m. on Sunday night approximately, it was anything but that. An altercation took out in a family home where, tragically, an 8-year-old girl was viciously stabbed to death. This is modern Ireland. The stories coming out of modern Ireland at ever-increasing frequency are horrendous. They're on a scale that we Irish, we here in Ireland, can barely contemplate. It's like it's a new world. It's like a different world. You know, we used to have stories of somebody falling off a bike. That was, local news back in the day. But a stabbing was huge news. It would be covered for weeks. And the stabbing of a child was unthinkable, absolutely unthinkable. The death of a child, maybe a drowning or whatever, was also terrible trauma for the whole nation. But now, it seems, in modern Ireland, since we threw open the borders and allowed everybody and anybody to flood in from all parts of the world, from all kinds of cultures, from all kinds of heritages and all kinds of backgrounds, well, the whole landscape, the whole society has changed. It's changed beyond recognition. We had multiple events just in the last couple of years where we had the vicious, brutal stabbing to death of beautiful young Irish girl Aisling Murphy, a teacher, while she was out jogging in the middle of the day, viciously stabbed multiple times in the neck as she fought for her life. The media reported it initially as a strangling. It wasn't a strangling. It was a vicious attack and stabbing by an immigrant, a man of Roma extraction from Slovakia, Joseph Pushka. He was here for over 10 years, never worked, got onto welfare, stayed on welfare, didn't even bother to learn the language, and had a house provided by the state. And then he went out and murdered brutally a young Irish girl. Then we had the 3 young children, these pre-teens, these kindergarten children, stabbed viciously in Parnell Street, centre of Dublin, and their teacher. Middle of the day, an Algerian Muslim man. He viciously stabbed them, went berserk. Lucky he didn't kill anybody. It was a miracle. Another sad outcome of Ireland's nouveau, chaotic, open borders policy. To this day, I can't even find a photograph of the man who's been in and out of court a number of times. The Irish state is keeping things they don't like buttoned up. We then had the brutal serial murder of homosexual men in Sligo, including decapitations, stabbings, disembowelments. It's beyond, it's medieval. Perpetrated by another immigrant, a Muslim immigrant from Afghanistan, Joseph Palani. Again, the state did its absolute best to downplay the incident. Now, here we have, on Sunday night, another heinous incident. And guess who's in the limelight? Guess who's in the spotlight for this? According to the Garda release statement, it was a family home where a man in his 30s, allegedly from the Middle East, and he was married to an Irish girl, formerly known as Shannon Kennedy, to Alicia Al-Khatib. Allegedly, on the Sunday night, very late, the husband in question, this Middle Eastern man of Muslim extraction, who had been in the town for a number of years, started to attack his wife with a knife, beating her, possibly attempting to stab her. On hearing the kerfuffle, the commotion, which, who knows, could have been the norm in that house. I know that in the Muslim faith, it is allowed under Islam that a husband has permission to beat his wife. That's in the Quran. That's just a matter of fact. But on hearing the commotion, little Malika rushed downstairs and attempted, as an 8-year-old, to defend her mother from the attacker. She was then viciously stabbed and died at the hands, it is alleged, of her father. Let's look into this a bit more, because this is just another sad, evil, terrible indictment of where we're at today in Ireland and where we're going. And the government, their mainstream media glove puppets don't want you to know. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you share this video. The mainstream media do everything they can to hide and bury the truth of what is happening to Ireland and to the Irish people. We have to spread the word. We have to let people know. This election, if it's proved anything, has proved that most people here in Ireland, at least the ones who vote, still don't know, aren't aware of just how bad things are. We here, this community, we need to spread the word. We need to get the word out because it's not gotten out, at least not yet. We need to keep working on it. We need to keep pushing. They don't like what we do. We upset the narrative. And we will go on upsetting the narrative. So make sure you're subscribed. Now let's delve a little bit more into this abhorrent, horrendous story that is modern day Ireland. Let's hop on over to the Irish Mirror first and see what they've got to say about this incident. A little girl died as she intervened to protect her mother from a late-night knife attack, it is believed. Sources told the Irish Mirror that tragic Malika Al-Khabib, eight years old, was allegedly stabbed when she realised her mother was being attacked with a knife at their home in New Ross, County Wexford, late on Sunday night, and tried to help her. But a knife man is believed to have then turned the weapon on the little girl and stabbed her at least twice. A source said she realised her mum was being attacked and went on to try to help her as much as a young child can. And what of the father, the husband in this case, the man who's in the house? What do we know of him? Well, sources say members of the Garda Armed Support were guarding that man as a suspect on Monday night, and the detectives are set to speak to him as early as Tuesday. Gardaí say they are not looking for anyone else over the incident, which has shocked the County Wexford town. It's understood the suspect is from the Middle East, but has been living in New Ross for several years. Members of the Garda Public Order Unit were also at the hospital on Monday night. Yes, the suspect is from the Middle East, but has been living here for a number of years. Who cares? Who the hell cares if he was here for 50 years, 100 years, 373 years? Who cares? The man was from the Middle East. He's from a Middle Eastern culture. He's from a culture that doesn't value women or children, it seems. He's from a culture that's violent. He's from a culture where you pick up a knife at the drop of a hat to your own wife, your own spouse. That's a culture. That's a way of life. That's obviously the way of life this man grew up in. That's a culture this man knows. That's a culture this man is comfortable with. And he comes to New Ross in County Wexford. What, you think a light bulb just goes off over his head and he suddenly becomes Irish? Do you think he suddenly has Irish values? Do you think he suddenly has liberal Western values? Obviously not. But that's what we're told. No, people can flood in to Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales from all corners of the globe, from some of the most brutal, backward societies on planet Earth, and it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be just dandy. They'll just be like us. In fact, it'll just be like Paddy McGinty's goat. Give them a password, a piece of paper, stamp it, and they're good to go. No, it's not good to go. No, they still have the culture and the heritage that they were immersed in, that they grew up in, that all the people around them had, their relatives had, their parents had, their uncles had, their cousins had. They still are immersed in that way of thinking. And then you see this. Takes a knife to his wife. His 8-year-old daughter allegedly intervenes, as any child would in that fraught situation, that horrific situation. What can you do as an 8-year-old? And then turns the knife on a child. It's Does anybody know anything about this man? Do the authorities know anything about this man? Where he came from? Do they know anything about his history? Do they know if he was in trouble before? Do they know if he was in prison before? Do they know if he stabbed anybody before? No. No, they don't. That's my guess. They don't. Why? They don't check. Stop doing all that. We stop checking all that stuff. Doesn't matter anymore. Just, open borders. Be grand. Chaos. Yeah, chaos is bound to lead us to utopia. Let's just have a chaotic, open borders, come one, come all system. What could possibly go wrong? An 8-year-old child could get stabbed, all right, in the middle of the night, trying to defend her mother. That's what could go wrong. That's what could go wrong. That's what did go wrong. It'll all be forgotten, buried. Get rid of it. Brush it under the carpet. Stop talking about it. If you stop talking about it, people forget about it. Well, I won't forget. You won't forget. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. Let's read on. Sources say the horror began at around 11:45 p.m. on Sunday night at the family home on Lower William Street in the town. Gardaí believe Miss Al-Khatib, formerly Shannon Kennedy, she probably wishes she stayed Shannon Kennedy now, was being allegedly attacked by a man wielding a knife. And when little Malika realised this, she ran downstairs to intervene. The little girl was then stabbed herself, as was Miss Al-Khatib. Gardaí from the Armed Support Unit, which is called to all stabbing incidents, rushed to the scene and found the mother and daughter injured, as well as the man. All three were taken to University Hospital, Waterford, where Malika later died. All cultures are equal. No, they're not. No, they're not. The feminists, every time one of these, and it's very regular now, every time one of these horrendous situations crops, they jump up and it's a man problem. We have a man problem here in Ireland. It's a male problem. Toxic masculinity problem. Stop it with that. Stop it with that, you ideological morons. We have a men from certain cultures problem. That's a problem. Not men like me. Not men. I don't go around wielding a knife with the intention of stabbing someone because I'm upset. Me and every man I know and every man I grew up with. Stop it with that, you ideological nitwits, you complete bellends. You'd march up and down O'Connell Street for abortion rights, for Palestine, for anything except stopping men from backward, brutal cultures coming to this country, open borders, often without any paperwork or background checks. And then you end up with dead people on the streets of sleepy towns and villages in the hinterland of Ireland. Where the hell are you? Where the hell are you, feminists? I'm here trying to stop this and you're ignoring it because it doesn't suit your dumbass narrative. Well, this is the number one story all over social media, particularly X. But what does RTE, the national state-funded state broadcaster, have to say on the issue? Surely this is hot-button topic for them. It must be top of the agenda. Well, let's pop over there and see what they've got to say about it. Well, here we are on the RTE News website. Let's just refresh that to make sure we're all up to date. And what have we got? 8-year-old child stabbed in New Ross. No, okay, election 24, right, okay. Well, it must be just down here. Focusing, okay, government, yeah. Councils must, okay, yeah. Some Russian drones cut power in Ukraine, okay. White House defends Hunter Biden pardon, all right. 8-year-old girl stabbed in New Ross. No, don't see it. Don't see election results. All right, RTE, yeah, yeah. All right, Mary Robinson confirmed with an honorary doctorate. Well, that's good to know. 8-year-old girl stabbed in No, don't see it. Oh, maybe I'm missing it here. Might have missed it somewhere. Don't see it. Why Bitcoin's price has surged since Donald Trump's win. Well, that's all very interesting. Some rugby news there. Exit polls, a European perspective. 8-year-old girl stabbed in New Ross. Anybody see it? I seem to be... Oh, and that's it. That's the whole homepage. 8-year-old girl stabbed in New Ross by a Muslim Middle Eastern immigrant man. No, don't... that's odd. How very odd. RTE don't seem to have any coverage of that. I can't quite figure it out myself. Perhaps you can. Maybe leave a comment. Let me know what could we possibly be missing here from RTE, the government state-funded broadcaster. They're charged with bringing the news of the day to all of the people of Ireland in a completely unbiased and informative way. Well, as you can see here, there's absolutely no mention on the homepage, the news homepage of RTE, of that tragedy, that absolute evil, tragic incident in New Ross, County Wexford. An 8-year-old girl stabbed to death, murdered in cold blood, trying to protect her mother. Yes, obviously it's not big enough news to appear on the RTE site, but thank God we know that Mary Robinson has been conferred with an honorary doctorate. Well, it's good we know that, because that's exactly what people need to know in modern-day Ireland. News like that. This, of course, is also very unfortunate news for the Irish Times, the ultra-woke Irish Times. The whole incident involving a Muslim Middle Eastern man and his Irish girl convert wife, stabbing his 8-year-old child and his wife. Well, let's just say it doesn't fit their narrative. Let's see how they're reporting this heinous, evil event, shall we? Let's pop over to the Irish Times, see how they're getting on with it. Well, here we are, Irish Times main page. We have the news here. Let's just refresh that, make it all just nice and up to date. And okay, we're starting off the election, fair enough. Nothing there. More election stuff there. Oh, here we go. All right, crime and law. Right, Irish Times, what have you got? Gardaí investigate fatal stabbing of girl 8 at family home in New Ross, County Wexford. All right, I'll start there. National school pupil Malika Al-Khatib died in hospital early on Sunday after Garda armed support rushed to her home following report of multiple injured people. Okay, right. What else have we got here? From Conor Lally, an 8-year-old girl from County Wexford suffered fatal knife injuries during a night violent incident at her home that also resulted in both her parents suffering wounds. Wow, both her parents might be victims here. That's what you'd be taking if you were reading this fresh. The victim was named locally last night as Malika Al-Khatib, who died at University Hospital Waterford in the early hours of yesterday morning. The Irish Times understands the alarm was raised via an emergency services call at about 11:45 p.m. on Sunday from inside the New Ross property where the family live, because the caller reported several people had suffered knife wounds. The Garda's they came on the scene on William Street. When the ASU members arrived, they administered emergency treatment to the girl before she was taken to hospital by paramedics. The girl's mother and father were also treated at the scene for the wounds. What happened? Did a mad knife-wielding man break into the property? Well, you wouldn't know from the Irish Times, would you? You wouldn't know that the chief suspect is a father. The chief suspect, there's nobody, they're not looking for anybody else. There's no mad knife man rampaging around New Ross on the loose. No. From all the evidence that we can see, that we know, and that the guards have released, the father was basically stabbed his wife and his 8-year-old child, who he murdered, in my opinion. She was trying to defend the mother. You wouldn't know this from the Irish Times, would you? Because that's all very embarrassing. It's really embarrassing if an immigrant Muslim man from the Middle East goes and kills his 8-year-old. That's really bad for the open borders narrative. Doesn't work. It's quite inconvenient. However, let's read on. Let's give them their due. However, while the man, 34, and the woman, 31, were then taken to University Hospital Waterford for further medical attention, their condition was not life-threatening, and Gardaí believe both will make a full recovery. You see, tells you absolutely zilch. There you have an absolute masterclass in obfuscation. Why, you'd read that Irish Times article about the incident and you wouldn't be any the wiser as to what went on. You'd think, wow, a knife was involved, a child was heinously, evilly murdered in the knife attack, and the parents were taken to hospital. They were also injured. Wow, it's a terrible event. Must have been somebody, some mad kind of Jack the Ripper figure floating about the place, went in and stabbed everybody. No, that's how they get you. You don't hate the mainstream media half enough. Half enough. This is how you do it. This is how they bury it. An ordinary person going about their day, hearing something on the news, picking up their copy of the Irish Times, would read this and know nothing about the reality. Nothing. What you and I know, they'd have no clue if they read the Irish Times. None. Why? Because they're purposely not given the correct information. They're not lying. They're lying by omission. That's how they get you. They don't tell a barefaced, up straight lie. They just leave out things. They craft a story, including certain facts and deliberately leaving out other facts. You wouldn't know that this was the father of the child who was attacking the mother of the girl, who, on hearing the attack from upstairs, came down and tried desperately to defend her mother, who was getting beaten by a man, her father, a Muslim man from the Middle East, wielding a knife, obviously attacking the mother with intentions to stab her, if he hadn't already. What did he do then? He turned the knife on his own 8-year-old daughter. Would you know any of this from the Irish Times? No. Would you know any of this from RTE, the government state-funded national broadcaster? No, you wouldn't. You don't hate these people enough. You don't hate them enough. They're not here to inform you, they're here to misinform you. We have to spread this news. You have to share this video. People need to wake up as to what is going on around them. If you read the Irish Times and the mainstream media in general, and you watch RTE, you don't know what's going on because they don't want you to. And they are paid in one way or another by the government. He who pays the piper calls the tune.